Find the total net profit for the estimated sales, value C in the table. Hint, find the values for A or B first. Okay, so we're asked to find net profit. So pull out our net profit equation. So our net profit, or really our possible net profit, is going to be equal to our selling price per unit minus our total cost per unit multiplied by, so that whole piece, we take the difference first and then we multiply by estimated unit sales. Okay, now take a look here. What do we know? Well, we already know that the selling price per unit is $75, so that's good news. We know the estimated unit sales. So let's plug in what we know. So net profit is equal to our selling price per unit, so $75, minus, we haven't figured out total cost per unit yet, and we're going to multiply it by our estimated unit sales, which actually, yeah, we do know is $7,000. Perfect. Or excuse me, 7,000 sales. Okay. So we need to figure out total cost per unit before we can get to net profit. So our total cost per unit is found by taking our fixed cost per unit, and adding it to our variable cost per unit. Now, we don't know the fixed cost per unit. We know the fixed cost, but that's total. That's the cost for all the units. We want to know per unit. So if we know that there are $120,000 worth of cost for all the units and that there are 7,000 units, then to find the fixed costs, the fixed cost per unit, all we would have to do is take our $120,000 worth of costs and divide by the total number of units. And this is going to tell us per unit what it costs, which is $17.1428. Again, not rounding until the end of the question. Okay. Now we need to add that to our variable cost per unit, which is $21. So going backwards here to our total cost per unit, we're going to take 17.1428 and we're going to add it to $21. That's our variable cost. This gives us a total cost per unit of $38.1428. This is the number we plug in. So 38.1428. So net profit will be equal to the difference of $75 and 38.1428 multiplied by 7,000. So when we simplify here, that gives us a net profit equal to $258,000. Okay. Now remember, there's always many different ways and orders to attack these problems. But again, I always like to start by asking myself, what am I solving for? Net profit. I pulled out my net profit equation, and then I plugged in what I already had. I knew I needed to find total cost per unit before I could continue, so I pulled out my total cost per unit equation. I had to do a little legwork there to find the fixed cost per unit. Eventually I was able to plug everything in. I found total cost per unit, substituted it back into my original equation, and was able to solve for net profit.